excited, go tell everybody that Jesus Christ is King. I said, get all excited, go tell everybody that Jesus Christ is King. I said, get all excited, go tell everybody. Tell everybody, Jesus Christ is King. Jesus Christ is the King of Kings.
I would never have dreamed last Christmas that I would have seen and heard the things happening in America that we've seen and heard of happening in America today. I would never have dreamed of this. Well, you know, you're afraid to go to home of a night because of the home invasion. You can't send your little children to school because of the fear of attack at school. I mean, this is not Christmas. This is not joy to the world. This is not the Lord is come. This is Satan in action. And it's just unbelievable. People aren't happy. People aren't excited. It's a hurry, worry, bury society. And that's not what God intended it to be at all. That's not what God intended this to be at all. This was a fulfillment of hundreds of years of prophecy. This was the bringing of salvation to the world. This was a bringing of remission of sins to lost and dying people. Joy to the world. The angels sang, "The Lord is come. Let earth receive him as their king. Let every heart make room for him. And let heaven and nature sing." Let heaven and nature sing. What's happened? What's happened? Here we are going down the last stretch. Here we are approaching another Christmas. More suicides will take place in the United States than any other time of the year. It's sad. It's lonely. I have people tell me that are surrounded by people that they're so lonely they could die. People are on Facebook and Funny Book and Crazy Book and all these, trying to find somebody to talk to, looking for somebody to be. What did we do before all this stuff come along? We enjoyed life. But you can't ride down the road now without people with a cell phone on one ear and texting with their hand. Lonesome. Miserable. Searching. Afraid. And how many know Jesus Christ as their personal Savior? Joy to the world. The Lord's come. I told you about Elizabeth and her husband and how that the angel appeared to her husband and said, "Your wife's going to have a baby. And this baby's name is going to be John. And he's going to prepare the way for the coming of Jesus." And Elizabeth and her husband rejoiced because they wanted to do something for the Lord. They were people who were servants of the Lord. Lord, if that's what you want me to do, that's what we'll do. That was their attitude. They didn't question the Lord. They didn't tell the Lord He was going to get into their plans. They'd planned on going to the Bahamas for Christmas. You know, Lord, whatever. Whatever John said, we're going to do what the angel told us to do. And here this old woman that was beyond age of bearing children, had never borne a child, rejoiced because she got to be a servant of the Lord. You know what's wrong today in our world? We're not servants of the Lord. You know what the basis is of every sin? Every sin. You know what the basis of every... You know what causes you to do everything you do wrong? Selfish. Selfish. It's not that you go to God and you say, God, what would you have me do? God, where would you have me to go? God, what do you need of me? No, we don't do that. We do what we want to do. And I guarantee you we'll find a way, some way, no matter what it takes, to do what we want to do. And we'll look God right in the face. We'll look God right in the face and say, I know this is what you want, but here's what I'm going to do. Now, what if Mary and Elizabeth had been that kind of women? What if they had said, oh, no. No, we're not ready to do what you want us to do. We're going to do what we had planned. I've got a wedding coming up. And every girl deserves a big wedding. Sorry, Lord, we'll have to put this thing on hold till me and JoJo go down the aisle and say our do's and don'ts, you know. But no, they were ready, they were willing, and they were able. And they were not defiant of what God told them to do. Let me give you a few scriptures here, and you think about this. Man, these were great people, and they caused great things to happen. Chapter 1, verse 38, Mary said, behold the maid servant of the Lord. She didn't say, Lord, I'm going to give you a break. I've been thinking about this, and I guess I might, if it don't interfere with my plans. She described herself when the angel was telling her what she was going to do. She said, behold the maid servant, the female servant of the Lord, and let me do what you want me to do. Let it be done to me according to your word. Now, how many of us are willing to say that? I want you to look over your life as you go into this Christmas season and be honest to God. And I've said this over and over. And I'm going to keep saying it till you believe it. But the pain, the heartache, the suffering, the failure, now and in your future, is it being brought about because you have said to God, I'm your servant. whatever. Whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do. Or has it been brought about because you decided what you was going to do, and then you told God to help make a way some way? You know, now God, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm counting on you to provide the funds and the health and the strength, etc. How long has it been since we've knelt on our knees and talked to the Lord and said, I'm your servant. Whatever. I'll go where you want me to go. I'll be what you want me to be. I'll say what you want me to say. I'll do what you want me to do. Or do we occupy ourselves with pleasing the world? And are we more concerned about what people think about us than what God thinks about us? I'm just asking. But you know, I see tragedy every week. I hear stories of heartache every week. I see lives being destroyed every week. And it breaks my heart. Because the reason of these things is that we have done what we wanted to do. Am I telling you the truth? We married who we wanted to marry. We didn't consult God about that. You know, women come to me with husbands that beat them and abuse them, and drunks and whoremongers. They come to me crying. But they should have come to me crying before. Before. No use pouring oil in your car after it starts knocking. You can pour 50 gallons in it, but it's going to keep on. When the damage is done, it's done. Am I right? The decisions need to be made before you date that man. The decision needs to be made before you date that woman. And you need to say, God, is this what you want me to do? That's for a good marriage. Now, that's just one example. 2 out of 3 new marriages ending in divorce. Success rate's not what you call great. And nobody wins in a divorce. Nobody. And there's always the heartache and the pain. You know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. This woman said, Lord, I'm your servant. That's hard for us to say because we're filled with pride, and God has blessed us unmeasurably. We got more than we know what to do with. Our problem is what to do with what we got. I ride down the road sometimes trying to figure out what I want to eat. You ever do that? How many of you do that? Where are we going tonight? You know. If I've got to hide something at the house, I put it in the oven. You know, she never looks there. But you go down the road. You say, I don't know if I want to go to Flop-Eared John's or the Roller Coaster Roosters or where I mean, we're so blessed, and God has blessed us to where we can do it, can't we? I mean, we can afford it, can't we? Yeah. And we get independent. Independent means I'm not dependent on God. I can remember when I knew what I was going to eat. If old hen laid, we had eggs. Yeah, and the cow gave a little milk, we had milk and eggs. Can any of you all remember that? And if we got some meal ground at the mill, we'd go get corn ground for the cow, and we'd get a little ground for us. And we'd make cornbread. Yeah, we didn't worry. I didn't say, Mama, what we going to have tonight? But I didn't say that. And you didn't sit down and say, I don't like this. You didn't say that. Nobody. You eat what was set before you. And you lick the plate. Not now. No. It's got to have a certain smell. It's got to have a certain look. And it's got to be cooked by a certain cook. We become independent. That means we don't depend on God for our next meal. When we started this church here, when we were building this church here, we never knew from week to week. At the end of the month, if we had any money, we gave it away. Still should be that way. I like that. Why did I like that? Because we were independent or because we were dependent? I went to the doctor most of my life, and they'd say, what kind of insurance you got? I said, I don't have any. I got assurance. And boy, you all seen them trying to look that up. See here, we don't have that listed. What, what is that? Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine. We become too independent. And it takes the joy out of knowing that God is going to supply our needs. And He will. I promise you. He will. That may not be your wants. There's a difference. There's a difference. But your needs. But when God appeared to this woman, she said, I'm your servant. I think if we're going to have a beautiful Christmas, like I just can't imagine the excitement that was taking place here in Luke. But I think the excitement was because they were totally dependent on God. A virgin girl that had never had a man having a baby. Can you imagine that? A man that had never been where there was birth given to a baby, sitting here trying to help a virgin girl have a baby. Can you imagine that? What are we going to do? Who's going to help us? What if the baby's got the umbilical cord around its neck? You know, I mean, what are we going to do? They were dependent. Totally dependent. And here all these angels were singing, glory, joy,